All right, so for my endangered or threatened animal, I'd like to talk about I believe it's called the Meadows jumping mouse. Also, the willow scissortail flycatcher, I believe, in the New Mexico area. So there's a couple of different things going on in this situation. One, it involves uh, invasive species, the tamarack saltcedar, growing along a river. And the tamarack slowly pushed out a willow tree that was naturally found in the area. The willow tree was where the scissortail flycatcher nested. I believe it's called a willow flycatcher. So this flycatcher, it nested in this willow tree along this river. The flycatcher itself is of least concern. So its population is decreasing, but it's not endangered yet. Um, and the tamaracks came in and slowly outcompeted the willow, and so the flycatcher naturally had to move to start nesting in the saltcedar because its willow tree was gone. After the saltcedar took over the river, it started moving inwards across the plains and taking over the plains as well. And this plain slash meadow is where the meadow jumping mouse was found. The meadow jumping mouse is endangered. In fact, I believe it's borderline extinct now. Anyway, so this meadow mouse is found naturally in the meadows. That's where it survives. The saltcedar kept pushing it because it was taking over the meadows, and it pushed it up the mountain until there's pretty much no natural meadow left for the mouse to live in. And the mouse has been pretty much driven extinct. I believe there are very, very few sightings of it. Well, conservationists came in to try and save it, but then they ran into the dilemma. So if you have a decreasing population of the scissortail flycatcher, well, they didn't want to disturb it, and so they couldn't remove the salt cedar because it's now nesting in the salt cedar, and so they decided to just let the mouse go extinct. I thought this was uh, idiotic's kind of a strong word, but personally I thought it was kind of dumb. If your willow is, or sorry, if your scissortail flycatcher is now nesting inside the tamarack saltcedar, what do? You start a long process of slowly clearing out the saltcedar from the river and start reintroducing your willow. If you take the time and effort to keep the saltcedar at bay, you could reestablish this willow. Another thing I thought was kind of ridiculous was they nest along the river. Why can't you take the saltcedar off the plains? That's what I would do. I would start with just mass taking out the saltcedar on the plains, leave some along the river, and then you can slowly start clearing the river while reintroducing your willow. This would be take quite a few years to do, but you could get the meadows back to where they were before, and you could have a natural habitat for the meadow mouse. Now, the meadow mouse might be too far gone. I know you didn't get to it today, but it might be too far gone to where it's going to be in inbreeding and stuff like that. It doesn't have the gene pool to repopulate. But I mean, to me, it'd be better to do this and try than to just say, well, we can't do it because this population is in decline and we can't do anything about the trees and just let another one die out. Thought that was kind of ridiculous. Um, Something else, I know this is getting into invasives, but the conservationists want to introduce a beetle that will naturally live in the salt cedar tree and hurt it to a certain degree to where they aren't going to be as prevailing as they are now. But also because of the scissortail flycatcher, they won't allow the release of the beetle either to make it easier to get rid of the tamarack saltcedar, which is invasive in large swaths of areas. So I just thought there's some kind of silly takes coming out of that whole thing. But anyway, yeah, I think you should remove the trees from the meadows and allow the mouse a chance to survive.